Hi, friends. This lesson has to do with multiplication and using multiple strategies. Now, before I start, I want to say I know that many of you were not in class because you are sick, and I just want to say I hope you feel better and I hope you get some rest over the break and take it nice and easy. This is just so that you can practice over the break whenever you get better and you have some time, just so that when we come back in January, we are ready and that we haven't forgotten some of the multiplication strategies and skills that we have learned. So we have 16 days off for the winter break. And during those 16 days, I hope that you get lots of time to rest and do fun things that you enjoy. It's also a good idea to practice your reading and also your multiplication. So in class, we've been looking at word problems and looking at how we can mark the word problems up so we can go nice and slow and understand what the problem is asking. So let's go ahead and use cubes. Cubes stands for C for circling numbers that might be important, U for underlining the question, B for boxing any keywords that might tell us what we might need to do, E to eliminate information we may not need. So it can be eliminate or evaluate to kind of think about what we need to do. And then finally, S for solve. And that sheet will be sent to you in an email to your families so that you can use that as you practice some of the work over the break. So let's go ahead and use that strategy. So I'm going to circle the important numbers that I might need. I'm going to read the problem 2 times so that I don't rush through it. There are 24 children in one class. How many children are there in two classes? There are 24 children in one class. How many children are there in two classes? Now, some of you might be able to do that quickly in your head and give the answer. And so, what we're asking is to make sure that you're showing strategies that we're using, because as we move forward, some of the questions might get a little bit more challenging. So, I'm going to circle the important numbers 24. Looks like I might need the number 24. And it says they're in two classes. Okay. I'm going to underline the question. The question is right here. How many children are there in two classes? So I'm going to underline that. So I know this is the question that's being asked. I'm going to box any key words. There are 24 children in one class. So I know this is one class they're talking about. Okay. And then I'm going to think about evaluating or eliminating. I don't need the other information. I know that I've made the information that I need pop out by circling or underlining or boxing. And then I'm ready to solve. So I'm going to think about what do I need to do here? It looks like there's 24 children in one class. In two classes, it seems like there's two groups. One group, two groups, two classes, and each group there's 24. It looks like I might need to multiply here. So before I do that, one of the things that I've asked students you to do is to write a blank statement response at the bottom with a blank in it. So it looks like this. How many children are there in two classes? And so down over here, I would say there are there are blank classes. Excuse me, not classes, children. There are blank children in two classes. Period. Okay, so this blank is what is going to be the answer. I don't know what the answer is yet because I need to show my calculations. Now, I wanted to show you the different strategies that we've been learning for multiplication. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to make sure that we write the equation first. Writing the equation is really, really important so that I know what you're thinking. Like, what operation are we using? Multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So this is 2 times 24 equals, and we're going to write a blank here because that's what we're trying to solve. Two classes, and in each class there's 24 children. Okay, so one of the strategies that we have learned is repeated addition. And that's where we actually started, right? We started with repeated addition, thinking about multiplication and how it's just repeating, adding a number. In this case, we're taking 24 and adding it 2 times. Here's one class, and here's another class, two classes. And I don't forget my symbol, and then I begin to add. Notice I always line the numbers up on top of each other in place value. We Do not write going across because then it's hard for me to see your calculations. Okay. So 4 plus 4 is 8. 2 plus 2, 20 plus 20 is 40. So it's 48. That's repeated addition. Let's look at another strategy that we have used. Now, some of you were here for this and some of you were not, and that's okay. So I'm going to show you. We use number bonds for adding. So this is not a new strategy, but it's new for multiplication. So if we were to use number bonds, we always start by writing the equation. And then we decompose, we break apart one of the factors. So it looks like here, I don't really need to break down the 2. I need to break down the 24. It's a big number. So I'm going to break the 24 down. Now, something that we've been talking about in class is to use a suitable method, right? To use a suitable way of breaking this number down. What's going to be easy? And so we think about tens and ones. And if we break that down, it's easy to multiply 2 by 20 and then 2 by 4. Now, these two numbers add to this number, right? We're decomposing it. Now, the next step is to multiply the 2 by the 20 and 2 by the 4. So underneath it, we'd write 2 times 20. And underneath this one, we'd write 2 times 4. Something else that we've been talking about in class is using smaller facts. In this case, if you don't know what 2 times 20 is, you can think about 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So we can say over here, it's 40, right? Because 2 times 2 is 4, and we just add that 0. 2 times 4, we should know that, that's 8. And now what we do is we take the answers to these products and we add them. So we say, what's 40 plus 8? It's 48. So that is number bonds. You can pause and rewind this anytime, but this is how we're going to be using number bonds for multiplication. One more strategy. Standard column. Standard column is a strategy that many parents might know. I know this is how I grew up multiplying. And the way we are going to do standard column is just a little different to show all of our thinking. By the end of third grade, some of the calculations that you see on the side that I'm going to show you, you might not need to do. So let's see what I'm talking about. When we use standard column, we're trying to line the numbers up in place value. So I look at 2 times 24, and I always put the number that has the most place value. In this case, it's a 24 because it has a 10 also and a 1. So I'm gonna write that first, and then at the bottom is going to be my 2. Notice I've left some space on the side here because I'm going to show you the thinking that we're going to be doing. So I know this is in the ones column and this is in the tens column. That's really important for me to remember. That's going to help me do the thinking over here. When we do standard column, we take turns multiplying with the ones and the tens. So we do 4 times 2 first, and I'm going to write that over here, 4 times 2, so I don't forget what I'm doing. 4 times 2 is 8. Then I multiply the tens. And this is not just a 10. This is not just a 2. It's a 10. So this is saying 2 tens, which is 20. So I'm going to say 20. 20 times 2. 20 times 2 is 40. Now, I have to be really careful here and make sure I line up the numbers properly. So 40. And then I add. And when I add, I get 0. 8 plus 0 is 8. And 4 plus 0 is just 4. This line signals I'm ready to write the answer. And when you write a line at the bottom, that means that that's the final answer. So this is 48 using standard column. Now, I'm not done because, like I have been encouraging in the classroom, when you have a word problem, you do need to respond to it using a sentence. Here's our sentence. We haven't completed it. So we're going to write 48 here. And just a review, these are the 3 different strategies that you can use to solve a multiplication problem. Now, here's the thing. As we move on in third grade, we're going to slowly move away from this and really practice number bonds and standard column. In our next chapter, we're going to really focus on number bonds and standard column. So if you have some chance, if you have a chance over the break, it would be wonderful if you could practice that. Thank you for listening. You can rewind this anytime. And if you are still recovering from being sick, feel better. We missed you. Have a wonderful break. Thank you, friends.